Joining us now is John McNamara. He's the Vice President of Government Affairs at the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association, back with us once again on the Megacast. John, thank you for being back with us.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. So we're in an interesting spot, in a difficult spot here in the state of Michigan at this moment in time with the latest surge in COVID-19 cases. Began as a spike in Delta cases, and then with the Omicron variant making its way into the U.S., making its way into Michigan, being that it's much more highly transmissible, we're seeing a rapid rise in cases and even hospitalizations. That's having an impact on a lot of different industries. At this moment in time, what is the impact that it's having on our restaurants and our hotels and other lodging industries?
So, I mean, it's pretty bad out there right now. You know, this would sort of be right around, this time last year as well. But it's creating multiple different types of problems. Obviously, one, just in general, people are being cautious and not dining out as much. So that's creating a problem. But you saw Michigan State University decided to go online for the first 3 weeks. And a lot of kids decided, well, I'm just going to stay at home at mom and dad's. I'm not going to go back to my dorm room or my apartment. And therefore, it created a major staff shortage in your college towns. And for example, on New Year's Eve, you had places where 50% of their reservations just canceled because people decided, I'm going to stay home. I'm not going to go out right now. And down on the hotel side, business travel continues to be non-existent whatsoever. Leisure travel is obviously very limited. Northern Michigan is still seeing some leisure travel, but if you're in Northern Michigan right now, you're outdoors. So that's a very good option right now is, get out and downhill ski, cross country ski, snowshoe, and just take advantage of the outdoor activities you can do and do safely.
And John, every time we have a surge like this, in some way, shape, or form, it feels similar to back in March of 2020. It kind of feels like a reset point. Here we go again. What's going to happen? That uncertainty comes into play. But Now we have a playbook for what happens in these kinds of surges in most industries or in all industries that at least individual businesses or entire industries can tap into. So with this latest surge in cases here in the state of Michigan, given the precautions being taken with that, can we expect to see more restaurants in particular go back to some of those practices that they were utilizing earlier on in the pandemic with mostly carry-out or curbside service and maybe less in-person restaurant services due to the spread of cases coupled with the staffing issues?
You will. I think you'll see people continue to stress that those are options, but also people, when possible, continue to offer the indoor dining option for those that feel comfortable or those that are okay with it. And, luckily now as compared to where we were, in 2020 and even into 2021 now, the vaccine is readily available. We've seen a large amount of population go out, get the vaccine, get their booster, and continue to do that. Luckily, a lot of staff at restaurants has been vaccinated, so that that's going to be key in when these outbreaks go. Is that hopefully a large portion of the population has received their vaccination and then even maybe their booster.
And should we be expecting, we've more than really ever in this pandemic, other than the initial portions of it when they were mandated to be closed, we're seeing a lot more regular closing during regular hours of restaurants in our local area, and I know it's also happening all throughout the state of Michigan. Should this be expected to kind of be the new normal we're dealing with here going forward as the Omicron variant continues to spread through Michigan?
I think probably until springtime, yes, you're going to see some people who close, maybe they're closed on Mondays or, maybe, not open for breakfast certain days a week. This is also a time of the year just in the industry in general, which is typically slower. Right after the holidays is typically a slower time. People might be trying to save some money, staying home a little more. And, it's colder. Some people just don't want to go out as much. 5 or 6 places locally here in the Lansing area that just, decided last week, we're just going to be closed for one was a week, some were 10 days, some were 2 weeks, and just try to ride this out, not only for the safety of their staff, for the safety of everyone. They're just going to say, we're deciding as a business owner, this is our choice, we're going to do that. And I think you will see more of that as well.
On the hotel front, obviously the holidays had just passed. There was a lot of traveling still during that time, and you kind of look toward the travel industry, trains, toward certainly the airlines. If people are traveling, they're more likely to be more likely to need lodging in the form of hotels or motels or other places wherever they're going. right now in the state of Michigan, given that we're in the winter, it's maybe a little bit less touristy here in the state of Michigan, and given the status that we're at with COVID-19 with the Omicron variant, how are our hotels faring at this time?
In general, not well. Again, if you're in northern Michigan, you're probably, this is going to be an okay time for you. But, Grand Rapids, Southeast Michigan, the Thumb area, with there being little to no business travel whatsoever, those hotels are truly hurting and have been hurting throughout all this, because there are some hotels who really, really just depend on business travel in order to, pay their bills and meet their minimums and their bottom lines. And when you still have most large corporations have halted business travel indefinitely, it's a scary, tough time for them. Luckily, at the end of last year, the Michigan legislature did appropriate $409 million in order to help impacted businesses from COVID-19. Those applications go live March 1. So hopefully we continue to see assistance from the government to help those businesses that, through no fault of their own, continue to be in tough spots.
We're joined by John McNamara, the Vice President of Government Affairs at the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association, with us on the Megacast. And John, across the board in our restaurants and our lodging industry here in the state of Michigan, all these problems and all these solutions that are being put into place, temporary or permanent at this time, how much does all of that come back to another major issue of staffing? As these businesses try to navigate the pandemic, keep themselves open, keep themselves safe, but also navigate the added trouble that is lower staffing availability, and then on top of that, what happens if there is a COVID outbreak in your business?
It makes it, in some cases, next to impossible. If you're a tiny little diner with 4 or 5 people and one person tests positive, hopefully that person is vaccinated. But if not, you still have to clean. You need to, have a deep clean. That person, depending on their vaccination status, is gone for X number of time. And then it just puts more stress on everyone else. And business owners are put in the next to impossible position of, how do I keep the people I have, not burn them out, and still provide good service? And what you're seeing is people, closing down. But staffing is a real problem, and it's not just this industry. You're seeing it in healthcare, you're seeing it in delivery, you're seeing it in grocery stores. And I think part of it is just that some people just really do not feel comfortable being out there. The narrative of increased unemployment has come and gone. We did see a slight uptick when that ended. But in general, you're just seeing some people have just found, how to do less and survive on what they have. So I'm hoping this, the staff shortage ends sooner rather than later, but that remains to be seen. And, the rise and fall of COVID-19 and the, variants is going to play a key role in that.
And so on that note, have we seen over the past several months since we last had you on the show, have we seen any positive changes in these businesses, particularly in the restaurant and the lodging industry in the state of Michigan, be able to make those hires and bring people in, and on top of that, prevent people from leaving the industries altogether or leaving these jobs altogether? Has that improved at all in the last few months?
We've seen a very slight uptick, but I mean, it was a slight uptick from, probably the worst this industry's been in the previous, probably 7,500 years. So we're seeing a slight uptick. But I mean, there's still plenty of jobs out there available in the hospitality industry. And, they will, you're seeing plenty of, apply today, work tomorrow, get paid the next day. So employers are willing to work with people. They understand, people need some flexibility in their schedule, and their understanding of people's worries right now. But, right now, if you asked any restaurateur what's your top concern, close to the half of them would probably say staffing.
We're joined by John McNamara, Vice President of Government Affairs at the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association. John, last summer, a positive in the travel industry was a rash of tourist business coming back into the state of Michigan, more people traveling around the state of Michigan, coming into the state of Michigan, because at that point in time, or at multiple points in time, the COVID numbers in our state and our region across the U.S. Were significantly lower than they are right now. How much of the projections and the plans for this year for our businesses and our restaurants and our lodging is really circled around just getting through this winter, getting through this spike, and getting to those higher traffic months?
Just about all of it. And, people who are far more knowledgeable on this than I am are saying, in the next 2 to 3 weeks is going to be rough here in Michigan, but then we'll start to see our decline. So, maybe we can hope, late February into March when the weather's a little better and March Madness and St. Patrick's Day, and then leading into spring break, hopefully, these can be a world where people feel comfortable going out. It's safe to go out. And, we don't have these continually rising numbers and hospitalizations.
We're joined by John McNamara, Vice President of Government Affairs at the Michigan Restaurant and Lodging Association. John, a few more minutes with you before we'll say goodbye. Anything else at this time that would be important for our audience to be considering about our restaurants and our lodging industries here in the state of Michigan as we continue through this COVID-19 pandemic, the issues that come with it, and on top of that, of course, the staffing issues as well?
Yeah, absolutely. First and foremost, I would say there's a narrative out there that, this industry is back, and because they were able to be open, that no more closures are going to happen. I can tell you firsthand that is not true. I talked to people. In fact, I talked to 2 people a week ago on Monday morning who said, I just can't do it anymore. And they've closed their doors for good. So you're going to continue, unfortunately, to see some closures. And it is, it's just unfortunate nature of the business. So if you don't feel comfortable dining it, sitting down in a restaurant, that's great. I would still encourage you to utilize takeout, utilize delivery, utilize curbside. And if you do decide to go sit down inside, please understand that that server or that bartender or the hostess or the manager, it's probably their 3rd or 4th double. They're doing everything they can to give you the best service possible. But right now, with the staffing world we're living in, that's just how it's going to be for a little bit. So I've said it every time, please be patient, please be kind. And, they're doing their absolute best, but it's a different world for all of us right now. It's going to take all of us working together, to get through this. And I can't wait for the day when I can come on here and maybe not talk about COVID-19 and staffing and lack of business travel.
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to the day where we can have you on the show and people from other industries on the show to talk about the comeback and not so much about the challenge that we still are undergoing. Thank you so much for joining us, John.
Yep, thank you.